as it did for 12 hours or so on the flight from Munich to Tokyo. Yeah, you probably recognize my space here. I'm back in Tokyo. I haven't played the drum yet, but every circumstance is different. And in this case, I'm going to be rolling around a little bit because I want to show you some active rest. It sounds like an oxymoron, active rest. But you'll see why maybe I could coin this exercise or lack thereof differently. But yeah, if we're going to push ourselves to heights of exertion, which is necessary to advance in your sport, particularly figure skating, we have to be able to sink to commensurate lows of energy. And so it's very good to be able to relax. Yeah, what's different? I just put the microphone here instead of, it's got a magnetic door clip. I could put it on somewhere on my body, but it doesn't work now. And we have to analyze and be aware of our environment and our circumstances and what we're doing. We have to be able to adapt, right, to different circumstances. So I don't think there's going to be any real reverberation effect from the drum, me speaking. I think that's probably going to be pretty good sound quality. We'll see. This is going to be a test of sorts. And yeah, I know probably I shouldn't put a glass of water on a drum. You might say, well, what are you doing? Putting water on your drum? Are you crazy? Well, yeah, I know there's water on my drum. And I know that if I spill the water, it could mess up my drum. I mean, yeah, if I do spill the water, I'm going to not make my viewers the first priority. I might go rush and get a cloth but I'm going to be very, very careful and cognizant of the fact that I've got a full glass of water. It's more than half full, and it's less than half empty, I guess you could say. Full glass of water. And I think probably drinking water, like sipping water, is maybe the best way to intake water, rather than just guzzling a glass of water and thinking that that's the same. Probably not the same. Just from experience, I know you're probably going to pee most of that out without it being really used, just as excess, without it being used effectively in your body for the functions that you need water for. Cleansing, for example. But yeah, what is active relaxation? I think this is very beneficial for recovery in sport. And nobody told me to do this, but I've been doing this for years on and off. And what it is, it feels good, very good to relax. And I'm going to try to relax to the full as much as possible with people watching me. Yeah, but when we sleep at night, often we do stay in the same position for quite a long time, and then eventually we move around, typically. But I'm going to shorten that up a little bit. I'm going to move sort of whenever I feel like it. I'm going to just try to feel the best I can as far as relaxation. Now, it feels really good to go into a new position, even if you just move a little bit. It just feels nice to change your position. And but after a while, if I stay in that position, it's not going to feel nice anymore. So then I'm going to seek out, let's say, a new position to relax in. And I might make a change of like that, every 15 seconds, even if it's just something really minor. I'm still mostly relaxed, but I'm adding just some motion that's not really high exertion, just rolling around in different positions as I relax here. And it feels really nice to do that, particularly since I'm experiencing jet lag and sleeping at all different bizarre hours. I have noticed from doing so much traveling, and probably you have too, but correct me if I'm wrong, we do have comments. This is not as relaxed. Now, but just doing a little stretching. Yeah, the news is really, I have things to share with you because I seek out things through the week, and then I try to share it on the Moves News, and I think I'm going to go in the direction of making the Moves News more the news, like making it live stream. And so you'd have to be, have access to your device and get a notification. So turn on the notifications if you're subscribed on YouTube. And yeah, I might take you for a motorcycle ride to a particular location in Tokyo, for example. And I would usually have some commentary most of the way, like I've done recently with the hikes that I've taken. I think that could be interesting. So even if I'm not making too much sense or saying anything too interesting or relevant for you, you could still enjoy the scenery going through Tokyo and the ride, vicarious ride on a Kawasaki Ninja. Yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking of, instead of posting on Sunday the Moves News as I've typically been doing, I'm thinking maybe I'll make it live stream, and I'll make it sort of more or less the same frequency, once a week type of thing. And so yeah, if you happen to not be doing anything, you can check it out, click on it, and that's pretty real time. That's going to be. I don't know, maybe I should have some intermediary step in there. Try to post, within a few hours. Often I post, I take the Moves News sometime during the week. Today it's Thursday afternoon. And I'll post this on Sunday. I gotta get another one done because Kojiro's not gonna have access. He does the editing and posting and stuff, and he's not gonna have access to the internet for a week, he told me, so I'll have to do another Moves News maybe before he goes on Monday, which I can do. I always have thoughts. If I plan on doing an edition of this report, it gets me thinking about things, and it gets me remembering interesting things through my day that I can share with you. So, like, for example, about jet lag, I went on to an AI platform and I wanted to ask a few questions, like, why is jet lag more difficult going towards the east than going towards the west? It's so much easier and quicker, almost immediate actually, to adjust going west. Whereas coming this way, I arrived, Monday? I've been here like 3 or 4 days and just been lolling around. Not entirely, but sleeping at all different hours, like waking and not really fighting it either, because I don't have a schedule that I need to follow. So I'm just sleeping when I'm tired, and eating when I'm hungry, and drinking, taking a little sip when I'm thirsty. Yeah, hydration. Lots of us are dehydrated. So this could be not only for my voice and for my health, but a reminder to you also to keep yourself well hydrated. I don't personally drink a lot of water because I eat a lot of fresh, raw fruits and vegetables, which are mostly water. So I don't tend to become thirsty that often. And I don't think it's because my thirst mechanism is not functioning well, because I do get thirsty sometimes, but not very often. But even still, I suspect that often, especially if you feel a headache, I think that could be a sign of dehydration. And I don't get headaches very often at all, but I did get some headaches last week, and I thought it over, like, why? And my conclusion was it's probably because I hadn't been drinking enough water. Where was I? In Oberstdorf, and it was pretty, when it's sunny, it gets like dry. Sky is very blue, and it gets dry, yeah, it rains every few days, but when it gets dry, and I think I was maybe more active or something. Anyways, I discovered that after I drank a little bit, got myself better hydrated, and my headache went away. So, could be a reminder for you to take a sip every so often through the day. And obviously, water is the best type of hydration. I drink a fair amount of coffee. Actually, I enjoy coffee. Tea as well, a little bit, but I enjoy coffee, and that has more of a diuretic effect on your body. It tends to require a lot of water to process, so you end up peeing out more water than you took in when you drink coffee. But this has got to depend on how strong the coffee is, right? If it's a certain weakness, like pretty weak coffee, okay, yeah, maybe we all tend to make our coffee more or less the same strength range, but it would have more of an espresso, you gotta assume, would have more of a drying effect on your body on a per volume basis. That little espresso, which you can take, guzzle down quick like a shot. Yeah, drugs dry you out, so you need to drink it. Water is the best. So, and sweet drinks are not so good for hydration, especially with a lot of artificial ingredients. Water is the best way to hydrate yourself. Well, I don't know if it's the best. It does depend on the quality of the water. I have a filter that goes through. I don't know what's in the water, what makes it through the filter. The water in Tokyo seems already pretty good. In many places in Canada and the United States, you can really smell the chlorine in the water. And then they add fluoride also to water in many places. Those types of additives I'm not really that in agreement with. So this water, and of course in Oberstdorf, being in a high elevation, the water's typically better, I would think. I mean, less runoff from like farm agricultural products and artificial and sewage and this and that as you get lower down towards the ocean. The ocean has a lot of salt in it, and it has cleansing properties as well. So I'm just, I really realize that I don't know very much. I get insights and have thoughts, and I understand how cause and effect works. I try as best I can, but I'm not propounding like I'm just trying to get you stimulated into thinking. And that's why I have news every day, is because I'm constantly thinking about better ways of doing things. And I think that's kind of like what keeps me motivated in my life is making judgments and using my brain and figuring out the most efficient way to do things, specifically figure skating, which is my career. But I do this with everything. I have a very logical, reasoned lifestyle, for better or for worse. And so not all of us are like this. Some of us are more based on and even myself. There's a part of us that just takes what we've been told and accepts it as the truth. I went through the asking questions about why. I went into a AI language model platform and I asked several questions before I was satisfied with the answer. I didn't just first answer that came to me, okay, whatever. For a variety of reasons, because I looked objectively and I understood what I was reading, and I asked why it's more difficult to get adjusted when you travel from west to east. And there was some sort of vague, I had to ask about the definition of terms, and actually I was satisfied with the answers that I eventually got, but not entirely. In the end, because I asked in the end, and I don't think the AI really got it, like if you go halfway around the world, so if you think about a globe and you go like from 12 hours of time zone away, let's say, and so let's say you're on the equator and you go from to opposite sides of the globe, you could go in any direction from your starting point to the end point, and it would be the same distance to get there. So it would take the same time approximately. And so yeah, you could go north, east, west, go any direction, and you're going to get halfway around the world in about the same time. And is your jet lag going to be affected by which direction you choose? North, east, west, north, northwest? What direction you choose to get to your destination, is that going to affect your jet lag? That's sort of the type of question I was trying to get the AI to understand, but in the end, I don't think the AI really understood. Does it depend on while you're flying, whether you keep the window shade open or not? So in other words, you're getting a natural, because I assume, for our circadian rhythms, you got to assume that it's a big part of it is light. And no, you don't have to assume anything, but I think a big part of our circadian rhythms is light. And so, depending on which way we go around the world, if we were exposed to the light the whole way, our circadian rhythms would be affected. According to how much the circadian rhythm dictates how much melatonin you inject into your body through your glands or whatever it is, and so that affects your sleep patterns. Yeah, so my sleep's all cut up, and I woke up. Well, I kind of slept on and off all through the morning. I had a few hours of deep sleep. This is really difficult, but it's not so difficult, because if I worry about not being adjusted to the time schedule here, that's more of a problem than not being adjusted. So, and I don't have a particular schedule anyways, so it's no big deal. Yeah, well, I can't fully demonstrate what this active rest principle is. You get the idea, right? I explained it. But when I'm talking, I can't do this as well, because part of the active rest thing is to let your breathing become very deep and full. So that's your diaphragm. Your lungs are not going to rest so much. When you're doing some active rest, and like any time throughout your day, the better your breathing is, the better you're going to sustain yourself. So particularly when you're resting and not focusing on anything and not really doing too much except relaxing, you then can allow your breathing to become very deep and full, just by really letting it happen. And that's some work, and that's some muscles that you have to build up, your breathing, particularly if you're going to become a harrier and run long distances, and where breathing becomes quite important. and sustained and endurance of your diaphragm is important. You have to work up to that, like with any muscle, with any exertion. But right here, I'm not exerting myself. Even still, if I just let my breathing go, and at the pace that it wants to, not uninterrupted by talking or by stress or attention or anything, just allow those lungs to get exactly what they need and want. That's not hyperventilating, but that's fairly deep breathing, because that's what I need. And when we relax, we do tend to breathe deeper, and often that depth of breath, particularly if we're lying on our back, can be noisy. We can saw logs in the night. We can snore. As we breathe deeper and deeper and deeper and relax, and relax the tongue maybe, and so you can get in this position more tendency to have noisy sleeping. Although I will say that that might be a downside to sleeping in this position, particularly if you're not alone. But there's definitely an upside to sleeping in this position, right? And without a pillow. Because if you got a pillow there, your head is forward. And our AI that we use in our company to assess your posture, most people have their head forward according to the standards of the AI that we use. Most of us have our heads forward. That's kind of understandable. And part of it might be like if we spend a lot of time sleeping and with a pillow, and in this position, that's head forward position. So it's really not that uncomfortable to sleep like in this position. And I've got my head back, not forward. So the positions that we spend the most time in, we tend to grow and form in those positions. So it's good to be able to do that. And if you want to have even more head back exercise for it, maybe just you can put both of your hands under your chin, for example, or maybe even just like halfway would be both hands under your forehead, just to kind of like be pushing back. If you want to really do an exercise like this where you're pushing your head back, you can just, it doesn't take much strength or energy to just pull it back. And it's not a tip, it's kind of a pulling the chin back thing that you want to do, because if your head is forward, it's not just a question of rotating it back. It's a question of, rotating it back, but also pulling back. And so if we sleep without a pillow, that position is a good one. Another question I asked the AI engine was, for health and longevity, what is the best ratio throughout your circadian tempo, time frame? What is the best ratio between standing, sitting, lying down? And the answer came back, you really ideally should not sit for more than 2 or 3 hours a day. Everybody who's sitting on their ass watching me right now is thinking, oh my God, I spend like 6 or 7 or 8 hours sitting every day. I'm pretty sure I spend more than 2 or 3 hours sitting every day, although never that much at a time. But 7 or 8 hours lying down, 2 or 3 hours sitting, and then standing ought to be 6 or 7, whatever's left there. something, if I remember going just from memory, 6 to 7, 8 hours or something. 6 or 7 hours standing, walking, standing, on your feet, supporting yourself. That's the best for your health and longevity. And those sitting positions where we're looking at our keyboard or at our phone with our head forward, not so good for us. Even when we sleep, and I say we a lot, I can't speak for you necessarily, but I assume that these are sort of that what I do is that we're more the same than different, and so. But if you think about it, like I was thinking about it, so now here I am in the fetal position, and this is kind of a nice position. That pillow is actually a little big for that. This is a very comfortable position actually. But normally, if I was just going to go into this comfortable position, this is also head forward, right? So I've been trying in this position to tip my head back, and if I'm gonna go to sleep or relax in this position, I would just try not to have the head forward there. Try to be able to relax in that better posture position. Yeah, we spend a lot of time lying down, and we should spend a lot of time lying down, and these are all organic cotton. All these linens, organic cotton. Yeah, anything that comes into contact with our skin, we absorb into our skin to some extent. So it's unnatural fibers, plastic fibers, polyesters and things, they do get absorbed a little bit into the body, into the bloodstream, and especially if we're lying down for so long on some sheets that are perhaps are not natural and maybe have not been washed with natural detergents or without detergents. We absorb those things. So I think probably organic cotton is a good idea for bedding. Yeah, I wear Lululemon, and I like it because of style and comfort and that. It's not generally organic cotton at all. It's a lot of artificial. The stretchy two-way stretch, you kind of need some technology to be able to do that. Yeah, and they're very stylish, these Lululemon clothes as well. So, yeah, I think it might be better for the health to wear organic clothes, but I'm not there yet. Yeah, I've made a lot of progress as far as reducing my exposure to toxins, but I will talk about toxins in the future, and I think I could leave it at that. So yeah, maybe from now on I will try to do live stream the Moves News, and it will be at random times depending on what I'm doing when I decide to do the live stream. But I will also post it shortly thereafter, so you can still watch it if you don't happen to catch the live stream. But if you want to take a real-time motorcycle ride over to Azerbaijan, the Bio Sabon, where I shop there at Azerbaijan, we can do that, or someplace else as well. Thank you very much for your participation and intention and attention, and thank you for commenting, dropping by the comment section and weighing in. Yeah, you can criticize me. That helps me. You can compliment me on the channel. That helps me. Yeah, you can give some thumbs up, shares, all the usual things that help the algorithms. I'm not primarily focused on the algorithms, obviously. I kind of understand them a little bit. Yeah, I try to make my thumbnail kind of intriguing, and you kind of have to look at it. It's not always easy to read my thumbnail. It's kind of a work of art in a way. It's not really the most algorithm friendly, I know. The title usually describes what you're going to see, and with the moves news, see, you're going to get sort of tidbits of information, insight, knowledge, experience, things to think about in your own life, and it's not like you're going to copy what I do or believe in what I say or do, because I'll have a few controversial opinions here and there, undoubtedly. Experimental people tend to be like that, to have their detractors and doubters and even critics. Yeah, but that's not primarily, and I'm not trying to get the most clicks or viewers or subscribers. It's not about quantity, it's more about attracting the right sort of people who are going to be interested and engaged, and who will be positively affected by what I do on my channel. Yeah, so I'm going to keep doing it, and it's kind of as I said, it's kind of a good learning experience for me, because when you teach and you put yourself on the spot and you turn on the camera, the video, and you get it going, and you have to make your thoughts understandable and interesting and perhaps entertaining even, or you have to help your viewer in some way and not just be going through some narcissistic experience, being the center of attention here. It's not primarily why I'm sharing my insights from a long career in figure skating. Ciao. I'll have to practice that drum a little bit and get back into it, because I know you probably missed that at the beginning of the moves news. Ciao.